Michelle, you've been with the company already for 16 years. What has kept you here?
It was actually my first job after completing my PhD. Now, more than 16 years later, it's still the only company I've ever worked for. For me, watching this transformation from the inside has been a privilege. I don't think my career would have been the same without the company's growth.
Meet Michelle Long, Managing Director of Wanhua's European Technical Center in Barcelona. In 16 years with the company, she's gone from lab researcher to global leader, never turning down a challenge along the way.
So you talk about how your career has evolved from the beginning, but now you are in a leadership position. Talk to us about your initial understanding of leadership.
After more than 10 years of being a leader, looking back now, I realized I was spending most of my energy thinking about the team's goals, but not enough time understanding each person's goals. I was always asking, how can we achieve better results? When perhaps I should also have been asking, how can I help each person grow? That experience made me rethink what leadership really means.
Michelle, you're now leading the Barcelona Technical Center for Wanhua. When people hear multicultural team, how do you manage to bridge those differences together?
Since I started working with them, I have discovered that
what I've noticed from many professional careers is that the most meaningful journeys are rarely mapped out in advance. Michelle joined Wanhua in 2010 as a laboratory researcher and has spent the last 16 years growing alongside one of the most remarkable transformations in our industry, witnessing the company expand from roughly 10 billion RMB to over 200 billion RMB in annual revenue. Her path has been anything but rigid, moving from research into technical service, then marketing, international business, and eventually leadership, where she now builds and leads Wanhua's Barcelona Technical Center. Along the way, an inspiring high school chemistry teacher first sparked her curiosity. A single phone call gave her the courage to move beyond the lab, and each new challenge taught her that growth begins the moment that we step outside our comfort zone. Today, she leads a team spanning many nationalities, cultures, and generations. And even after 16 years and executive MBA in progress, she still considers herself a learner. On today's episode of Inside Wanhua, we'll explore how curiosity and courage have shaped Michelle's journey and why she believes that the most exciting part is that there's still so much more to learn. Hi, Michelle. Thank you for joining us in Inside Wanhua. I'm very excited about this interview. Like I mentioned outside of the recording, I met you in the past in one of our American coding shows. We don't work together. Michelle is all the way across the globe in Barcelona. But when I mentioned everybody that you will be on Inside Wanhua, I got very positive feedback. Everybody said that you are one of the most amazing people at this company, smart, with a broad mindset. So I'm excited.
Thank you for offering me this opportunity. I'm also very excited for it.
I'm very honored. So, Michelle, let's start where everything started, which is in your school years. When do you realize that chemistry might become more than just a subject for you?
What first attracted me to the chemical industry was actually my high school chemistry teacher. I grew up in a relatively small industrial city in central China. At that time, chemistry was just another subject for me. But I had a chemistry teacher whose passion for chemistry was truly contagious. He didn't just teach formulas and reactions. He helped us understand how chemistry explained the world around us and how it could create real impact in people's lives. Through his classes, I began to see chemistry not simply as a school subject, but as something fascinating and meaningful.
It sounds like that person changed your mindset, right? And could have probably influenced the further years ahead, which is college. It's my
Right.
understanding that you went to one of the most prestigious school in China, correct? So tell me when you realize also, okay, so you like that professor sparked that passion with you when you were in high school. When did you realize that that was going to be your path as a professional career in college as well?
I think I realized it when I started to prepare for my university. As you said, I was very fortunate to join one of the best university in China. So when I applied to the university, I could list 5 preferred majors. Then it turned out that 3 of those 5 choices were chemistry related. At that time, I had already connected my future with chemistry. I later studied chemistry at Peking University and got a PhD in analytical chemistry. So I would say what started as curiosity gradually became my profession.
Nice. And after all these years, what still excites you about chemistry? What keeps that flame burning?
I think my understanding of chemistry has changed a lot over the years. When I was young, I loved chemistry because it was interesting. Today, I still love chemistry because I see its impact. I believe chemistry is part of the solution to many of the world's biggest challenges, whether we're talking about energy transition, food security, climate change, environmental protection, or developing more sustainable materials. Chemistry plays an essential role. Most people don't see chemistry in their daily lives, but it is actually everywhere. It quietly improves the way we live. That's also why I connect with Wanhua's mission, advancing chemistry, transforming lives. After working in this industry for more than 16 years, I don't see those words as just a slogan. I see them as a reminder of why our work matters.
That is true. Chemistry is everywhere. And it seems like a subject that almost like, in math, people are like, when am I going to use this in real world? Certain subjects in math, right? But chemistry, we don't realize that it's embedded pretty much in everything that we touch and anything that we see. Somebody, there is a chemist behind all of it, the coding on top of this table that we're sitting. And it's
Exactly.
so true. So after you earn your PhD, you joined Wanhua. This was 16 years ago, correct?
Right.
And at that point, what went through your mind? Did you imagine? I know that you not only stayed as a researcher, right? But typically, normally, when people get their PhD, that's the only, path that they stay on, which is R&D. How was those early career years when you joined Wanhua? What do you think, young Michelle, at that point when you joined Wanhua, what do you think your career was going to be like?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I firstly joined Wanhua as a researcher, especially after I had spent many years studying chemistry, completing my PhD. So it seems natural that I saw myself as a scientist, and I assumed that my future would be in research. At that time, I really enjoyed working in the laboratory. Running experiments and solving technical problems felt like the career I had prepared for a very long time. If back then you had asked me where I would be 10 or 15 years later, I probably would have imagined myself leading a bigger R&D team, not working in business or leading an international organization like I do today.
You would think that you will continue just expand, but within the bubble of R&D. That's what you had thought. And so what changed? Because
Right.
I know your career, like you mentioned, you're now running an entire business unit. You're in leadership abroad in another country in Barcelona. What changed that mindset? What happened? I know what happened.
Yes, that's quite an interesting story. About 2 years after I joined Wanhua, one day I was working in the lab and I received an unexpected phone call from our vice president and CTO, Dr. Kao Hua. He asked me a very simple question. Would you be interested in moving into technical service and working directly with customers? Honestly, I was surprised. I had never considered that possibility. I knew chemistry, I knew how to solve technical problems, but I knew very little about customers, business, or the commercial side of our industry. I remember I was thinking, why are they asking me? It felt completely outside my comfort zone.
What do you think they ask you?
Honestly, I still have no clue now.
No, I think that I don't know. I will have to guess because if they saw, I don't know. I'll take a guess is that you like on your R&D bubble role, you delivered. And right? You deliver in my opinion. Like what for people who are young who watch this series, what do you think? Because you can plan, right? You can plan where you want to go in your career and take actions towards that. But also there's an element of it's an element of reality and also an element, I don't know if it's, I don't know, luck, but of course you were prepared and then that opportunity came, right? So those two collide. If you had to say to somebody in the earlier career, one part is preparation, what is that other kind of like magic that it's not there, like one of our higher up leaders giving you a call to offer you that role, right? What was Michelle doing at that moment? Because you were not calculating, you were not expecting that call, you were not like, what were you genuinely doing in your current role in your bubble of R&D that must have caught the attention?
I think I said that I was only in that company for 2 years when I got the phone call. So I think that that's something I always appreciate about our company, about Wanhua, is that the company doesn't define people by what they have already done in the past. Instead, I think the company encourages people to explore new possibilities, to dig for their potentials, and the company does not fear to provide opportunities to someone they might do not feel themselves already. So in my case, I don't think I accepted this offer or this phone call because I felt I was ready. I was thinking of it and I asked myself if I can learn something completely new from this opportunity. So I accepted it, and then my career has changed to a totally different direction. But I really do not feel that the company or my supervisor saw something that I already achieved, and then they decide to give me this opportunity. I believe maybe they saw my potential, they saw some hidden talent from me, and they said, okay, let's try to give her this opportunity. And I feel very fortunate to have the braveness to accept it.
I was going to say, what made you accept it? What made you say that?
As I said, I accept it not because I felt I'm completely ready, but I felt that I could learn something completely new from this new opportunity. And it turned out this decision changed the direction of my career. Working directly with customers completely changed the way I thought about technology. As a researcher, I focused on developing better solutions, better technologies. After started to meeting customers, I realized that technology only creates real value when it solves real customer problems. I believe that was a very important shift in my thinking. I started to understand not only the science behind the product, but also the market, the application, and ultimately the customer's business. Also, this experience gradually opened the door from just researcher to marketing, international business, and later different leadership roles.
Okay. Michelle, you've been with the company already for 16 years, right? More than 16 years. In today's world, that's is strange. A lot of people switch jobs, especially earlier on in their career. What has kept you here?
Yeah, that was actually a question I'm asked quite often. Indeed, it was actually my first job after completing my PhD, and Now, more than 16 years later, it's still the only company I've ever worked for. People sometimes may think that staying with one company means doing the same job for a very long time. But my experience has been different. I feel that I've had several different careers within one single company.
Yeah. And the company itself, I'm sure, it's not the same as when you started, correct?
You are absolutely right.
So it's even though you stay with Wanhua for 16 years, Michelle is not the same, the company is not the same, right? So you've evolved company.
Exactly. Yeah, I really feel that way. When I firstly joined Wanhua in 2010, the company's annual revenue was around RMB 10 billion, and we had around 2,000 employees. Then today it has grown to more than RMB 200 billion. We have more than 30,000 employees worldwide, and Wanhua also become one of the world's leading chemical companies. For me, watching this transformation from the inside has been a privilege and very inspiring. Also, as Wanhua expanded globally, I had opportunities to broaden my own horizons. I don't think my career would have been the same without the company's growth. So only within a developing company, then it can create more opportunities that allowed the employees to explore different roles, to meet people from different cultures, and also continually grow throughout their careers. Then I think that's my case in the past 16 years with Wanhua.
What do you think that says about Wanhua as a company and how they encourage their employees to grow as well?
As I said earlier, I've always appreciated about Wanhua is that the company doesn't define people by what they have done in the past, and the company is willing to provide opportunities for people to explore their potentials. In my case, looking back at my own journey, almost every important opportunity involved doing something I had never done before. I started as a researcher, then I moved to techno service, marketing, global business. Then 3 years ago, I moved to Spain. None of those experiences came because I was already an expert in that area. They came because someone, maybe my boss or HR leaders, I don't know, someone believed I could learn and I could manage. And I think that's one of Wanhua's greatest strengths. It gives people opportunity to grow, and at the same time, it expects them to keep learning and taking on new responsibilities.
Yeah, I agree. And since it has grown so fast, it almost pushes us to shed our skin as well, like really fast, like a butterfly, right? Like to the next step and keep growing as the company grow. So you talk about how your career has evolved from the beginning, but now you are in a leadership position. And that's a whole different animal, right? Than from just
Right.
going up in the ladder. Talk to us about your initial understanding of leadership. How long have you been in the leadership role?
Wow, from leading a small team, that was in 2013, so more than 10 years. But my understanding of leadership has evolved a lot, changed a lot.
Tell us about what you thought leadership will be, being the boss at the beginning of your career, and how has that transitioned to today's role that you have in Barcelona?
Yeah, sure. Early in my career, I was very results oriented. I came from a scientific background. I naturally focused on solving problems, achieving targets, and delivering results. At that time, I believed that if the team performed well, then I was doing my job as a leader. But there was a period when several team members left within a relatively short time. I remember feeling frustrated and confused. I truly cared about the team. I worked hard. I tried to be fair, and I wanted everyone in my team to succeed. So naturally, I kept asking myself, what am I missing? After more than 10 years of being a leader, looking back now, I realized I was spending most of my energy thinking about the team's goals, but not enough time understanding each person's goals. I was always asking, how can we achieve better results? When perhaps I should also have been asking, how can I help each person grow? That experience made me rethink what leadership really means. I gradually started to realize that business performance and people development are not two separate goals. They are actually closely connected. When people feel trusted, respected, and supported, they become more engaged. They learn faster, they contribute more, and in the end, the business performs better as well. So today, I still care about results, but I also believe sustainable results come from helping people grow. For my today's leadership style, I would describe it as growth oriented. I still care deeply about performance and results. Meanwhile, I also try to understand each person's strengths, motivations, and career aspirations. I want my team members not only to contribute to the organization's success, but also to feel that they are growing professionally and personally through the journey. So that's how my understanding of leadership evolved in the past 16 years.
That's very honest and a good point to mention, because a lot of people, when they achieve a leadership role, I feel like they might think, oh, I'm ready and I know it all. And you having that retrospect, like looking at your team, looking at, sure, we're achieving results as a group, but clearly people are leaving. Having that moment to accept, because that's part of leadership as well. And think about, I don't know, when you admire somebody and that person like accepts something it's not right, right? We have to make adjustment. I don't know
Yeah.
everything. We need to adjust. Something about that humanity, that humbleness, and accepting that things have to change. That's what makes a good leader, because it almost gives you, oh, I could be like that. Because I could at some point be a leader. Same with your children. When you're a mom, having that like searching inside and searching and adjusting and changing the way of doing things, it speaks good about leadership. And it seems like it's something that you still learning today. You still
Yeah, absolutely. As you said, I don't think leadership is something you can completely master. Maybe because of my scientific background and also my personality, my natural instinct is to focus on solving problems. So I need to consciously remind myself to spend more time listening, asking questions, and understanding people before jumping directly into solutions.
do solution. That is super
Yeah,
important.
as you said, I believe leadership is a continuous learning journey. It's not about becoming someone completely different. It's about understanding yourself better, recognizing your blind spots, and continuous improving.
Michelle, you're now leading pretty much the Barcelona Technical Center for Wanhua. And when people hear multicultural team, it's in another country with people from around the world that are at the tech center, right? And from Europe. One would imagine that that could be a challenge to lead a team with, in a whole nother country with people from different backgrounds. What has that been your experience? Is that the biggest challenge?
To leading a multicultural team, yes, to some extent, yes. But I have also learned that people often overestimate the cultural differences. Our team is actually very diverse. We have colleagues from China who are assigned from headquarters, locally raised Chinese employees, Spanish colleagues from different regions, and an Italian colleague. We have young graduates who have just started their careers and professionals with more than 30 years of experience.
It's a wide range.
Yes, we also have people from technical backgrounds and commercial backgrounds. So when I think about diversity, I don't think only about nationality. I believe culture is also shaped by people's life experiences, professional backgrounds, generations, and personalities. In many ways, those differences can be even more significant than where people comes from.
How do you manage to bridge those differences together? How do you bring them together with your team?
Since I started working with them, I have discovered that people are actually much more similar than we sometimes imagine. Regardless of where they come from, most people want the same thing. And they want to be respected, they want their work to have meaning, they want opportunities to grow, and they want to be part of a successful team. Once you realize those shared motivations, building trust becomes much easier.
And I know that you have achieved that trust within your teamworks because I've heard amazing things about you. So you're from China, you also brought some Chinese tradition into your team there in Barcelona. Why is that important to you?
Well, I believe teams are built through shared experiences, not only through meetings or professional discussions. So on a daily basis, we work hard together, but we also celebrate together. We celebrate birthdays, and during Chinese New Year, we make dumplings together and share Chinese traditions. Around Thanksgiving, we organize appreciation activities where colleagues write thank you cards to one another. These activities may seem very small, but I believe they create opportunities for people to communicate, to understand each other beyond their daily work. This reminds us that before we are colleagues, we are people. So that's why I think these daily interactions are important and also very helpful to build a friendly, relaxing environment.
Yeah, I agree. Michelle, after listening to your story, one thing that stands out is that at every stage of your career, you've embraced new opportunities, new challenges. You've said yes without having all of the answers or being ready sometimes. After more than 60 years with Wanhua, do you still feel like you're growing?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, I think that's one of the things I appreciate most about my career. The more experience I gain, the more I realize how much there is still to learn and to grow. Earlier in my career, I thought growth meant learning new technical knowledge or developing new professional skills. Today, I see growth in a much broader way. It's about understanding people better, becoming a better leader, seeing problems from different perspectives, and continuing to challenge myself even when I feel comfortable.
And has your definition of success changed over the years?
Yes, it changed a lot. Earlier in my career, success was mostly about achieving good results. Today, I still care about results, but I think success is much more than that. For me, success also means building a team where people enjoy working together, trust one another, and feel that they're growing. It's also about creating something that lasts beyond your own individual contribution, like what we're doing here in Barcelona.
I agree. And to wrap things up, if you could give young Michelle 16 years ago a piece of advice when she joined Wanhua, what would that be?
I would probably say two things. First, be more confident. Earlier in my career, I wasn't as confident as people might imagine today. And I worked hard, but I didn't always put myself forward or actively seek new opportunities. Part of that was my personality, and perhaps part of it was working in an industry that has traditionally been male dominated. A book that really influenced me was Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg.
Lean in.
Lean In. She used to be the COO of Facebook. One idea that stayed with me was her encouragement for women to sit at the table, to speak up, contribute, and believe that their voices matter. The second thing I would say is don't be afraid of opportunities that feel slightly beyond your current capabilities. For me, looking back, almost every important opportunity in my career arrived before I felt completely ready. If I had waited until I felt fully confident, I probably wouldn't be sitting here today.
Yeah.
So my advice is simple. Believe in yourself a little more and be brave to embrace new challenges.
It's so funny. This morning I checked LinkedIn and there was an old post from the Nobel Prize Peace page. The medical laureate in 2018 was actually Asuko Honjo. I think he's Japanese. He said
Okay.
that to be successful in a chemistry career, the 3 C's, it was curiosity, you have to stay curious, courage, which are the same two that you have, and the
Yes.
other one was continuing. Like, keep going. That was the only difference. But I'm like, it goes with the same theme that we're talking today.
Yes, actually, I want to use one sentence showing the continuing as a closure.
Yeah. Oh, you heard that guy as well. the
No. I just heard it from you, but
okay.
yes,
Continue.
I would say I've been very fortunate. Wanhua gave me the opportunity to grow, and I simply tried to make the most of every opportunity I was given. I'm continuously growing, and I think that's the most exciting part of the journey. So that's continuous.
Yeah, I like that about Wanhua gives opportunity to young talent as well, which is really good because that's when you're more curious and open to accept challenges and to
Right,
continue. So,
right.
Michelle, to wrap things up, like once you're already, at a certain age, that might not, that like the natural kind of like force or light to keep going might dim a little bit. So I like that one. It's a very young company that trusts young talent and gives opportunity to keep growing. So that's really good. So after everything we've talked today, if you had to describe your entire journey, these 16 years, in just one sentence, what would it be?
I would say I joined one company after graduation, and 16 years later, I'm still growing because the company never stopped giving me new opportunities, and I never stopped accepting them.
Good. All right, Michelle, that's all with the two of us today. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining me on Inside Wanhua, the series where we go beyond the lab to get to know the people who bring innovation to life at a growing global company. Because real innovation happens when culture and chemistry connects. For more episodes of Inside Wanhua, visit our YouTube channel. And you can also connect with me, Andreina Dewendt, on LinkedIn. I'd love to hear your stories about innovation in the chemical industry. See you next time.